The probate process for an estate in North Carolina typically takes 6 to 12 months. However, this timeline can vary depending on the complexity of the estate. Today, I will talk about the necessary steps that you need to take and the time period that you need to take these steps in so you can stay on course with the probate timeline. Hi, I'm Denise Davis, a North Carolina Realtor and a certified probate real estate specialist, and I help people who are going through probate, who needs to file probate, and who also has real estate to sell. Now, before we start, I need you to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Now let's dive in. Now, many variables can affect the timeline, including the size and complexity of the estate, the number of beneficiaries, if there's property scattered in different locations, and the amount of debt that the estate owes. So it's important that you understand the timeline and all the necessary tasks so you can move forward with closing out the estate. Now, within the first 60 days after the decedent has passed away, you'll need to file all the necessary paperwork to become the executor or the administrator of the estate. And although the decedent has named you in the will to be the executor, you'll still need to file the probate papers as well with the clerk of superior court so the court can authorize you or appoint you to be the executor. Now, if the decedent did not leave you as the executor, or if he didn't name anyone to become the executor, or if he didn't have a will at all, then you will need to file probate papers to become the administrator of the estate. Now, for the remainder of this video, you're going to hear me refer to the executor or the administrator as the personal representative, except for maybe in one other little section. Now, there will be several forms that you need to fill out to become the personal representative. Now, you can get these forms from your attorney, from the clerk of court office, from the clerk of court website, and I also have a page on my website where you can find these forms. I'll leave a link below just in case you want to check it out. Now, along with the papers, if there is a will, you'll want to take a copy of the will, and you'll also want to take the death certificate. Now, this should all be done within 60 days from the date of death. Now, once these papers have been turned in, you'll want to give the clerk of court 30 to 60 days to process these papers and to send you your letters. Now, if you were applying to be the executor, you'll receive letters called letters testamentary. If you was applying to be the administrator, you'll receive letters called letters of administration. Now, just keep in mind that these letters are very important. The letters are your proof that you have been given authority by the court to manage the decedent's affairs and to manage his estate. Now, within the first 30 days of being appointed the personal representative, you want to file a notice to the creditors. You'll do this by filing the notice in the local newspaper or in a circulating newspaper in the county that the decedent lived in. You'll need to publish the notice one time a week for 4 consecutive weeks. Now, keep in mind that from the date that you publish the first notice, the creditors have 90 days to respond. They have 90 days to make a claim against the estate. Now, the purpose of this notice is to reach unknown creditors or people who may have owed the decedent money. And if they do not come forth within those 90 days, then they're barred from coming forth later to make a claim against the estate. Now, within those first 30 days, you also want to start locating and identifying the decedent's assets, such as his bank account, investment accounts, any jewelry, antiques, household furniture, automobiles, real estate, any assets that he may have owned solely in his name. Now, I want to back up for just a minute. Now, when you first file the papers, or when you're filling out the papers to become the personal representative, on one of the forms, you're going to see that there is a section called the preliminary inventory section. And in this section, you will list all of the decedent's assets. Now, it's going to also ask you for the value of those assets. Now, at this point, you probably don't know the true value because you haven't been given the authority to call the bank or to have the house appraised. So you're going to put your best estimate or your best guesstimate of what you think the value may be. But once you have been authorized by the court to become the personal representative, you'll need to fill out another inventory list. Now, this inventory list is referred to as the 90-day inventory list. And how it differs from the preliminary inventory list is that on the preliminary inventory list, you don't know the true value of his assets. So you're basically going to give an estimate of what you think the value may be. But on the 90-day inventory list, you want to do your best to give an actual value. So at this point, you may want to bring an appraiser in to give you an accurate value of some of the assets. For example, if he owned a Rolex vintage watch, ancient paintings, or Victorian jewelry, then you may want to find an appraiser that specializes in appraising these type of things. Because on the 90-day inventory form, you want the value to be as close as accurate as can be. Now, I have created a video showing you the actual form and how to fill it out. I'll put a link below just in case you want to see that. And one other thing, when it comes to finding out the value, you need to find out what was the value on the date of death. So for example, if he had an investment account, you want to find out how much money was in his account on the date of death. Now, another thing that you want to do within the first 30 days is file for a federal tax identification number, also referred to as the EIN number. You'll need this EIN number to open up an estate checking or an estate savings account. And if the decedent was working before he died, you will also need it in order to file his taxes. Now, with the estate checking account or saving account, just remember that once you sell the assets, if you sell them, and any money that comes in from the sale, it will need to be deposited into that estate checking account or the estate savings account. And any money that's paid out to creditors should come from that estate account. You never want to put money that belongs to the estate in your own personal checking or savings account. Now, if the decedent was someone who worked, you will also want to notify the IRS. Now, you will most likely fill out Form 56, and this will give you the authority to call the IRS and get information about the decedent's accounts, to make tax payments, to sign on his behalf, and also to receive any tax refunds that will need to be deposited into the estate account. And another important thing that you want to do is meet with a tax advisor who can advise you on if taxes need to be paid from the estate. If the decedent had Medicaid or any other type of government benefits, you'll also need to notify them. Now, remember, these are the things that should be done within the first 30 days of becoming the personal representative. Now, within the first 75 days of becoming the personal representative, you also want to notify any known creditors. So if you start noticing that hospital bills, personal loans, credit card statements, mortgage payments, any type of bill that's coming to the house, these are creditors that you now know of. You will also need to notify them that probate has been filed. So at this point, you may notice that claims from creditors are starting to come in. So you want to validate the claim. Make sure the claim truly belonged to the decedent. And if it did, see if you can negotiate the amount of the claim. But at this point, you don't want to pay any of the claims. So even though claims are coming in, you don't want to pay anything until after the notice to the creditor period has been completed. So as of right now, you just want to keep track of the claim and you want to prioritize the claim if it truly belonged to the decedent. And when I say prioritize the claim, I'm talking about the importance of the claim. So for example, a mortgage claim would be more important than a credit card. Now, within 90 days of being appointed as the personal representative, the claims are coming in. And you'll want to take note if there is enough money in the estate to pay these creditors off. If you see or if you know that there's not enough money in the estate to pay them off, then you may want to start selling the assets. Now, you can do this by either having an estate sale or having a yard sale, or if real estate is needed, you can also petition the court to sell the house so the money from the real estate can also go towards paying the creditors off. Within those 90 days, you also want to file a notice to creditors affidavit with the courthouse. And this affidavit is saying that you have done your best to reach all of the decedent's creditors. Now, one of the most common mistakes that people make is failing to notify all of the creditors. So I want you to keep in mind that if you are negligent on this part, then you can possibly be held personally liable for the estate. You will also want to make sure that you send in the 90-day inventory list to the courthouse. Now, even though it says 90 days, it doesn't mean that you should wait to that 90th day. You always want to start doing things as soon as possible. So whether I'm saying 30 days or 75 days, 90 days. I'm not saying wait until that day. You always want to start everything as soon or as quickly as possible. And close to the 90-day period, it should also be time or almost time for the notice to creditors period to end. So once that 90-day period has filed, the creditors no more have the right to come forth and make a claim against the estate. Now, within 9 months after the date of death, the decedent's assets should have been sold if needed, his debt should have been paid, and his taxes should have been taken care of. Now, for some estates, it can take years to close. So for every estate that is still open, you'll need to file an annual report with the Clerk of Superior Court in the county where the decedent lived. Now, after paying the creditors, you must complete these tasks to close the estate. You must distribute the final assets to any beneficiaries and or any heirs, and you must complete the final accounting with the Clerk of Superior Court. Once you finish these steps, your duty as the personal representative will be completed. Because each probate process can be different from another, there may be additional steps or maybe even less steps required than what I just went over. Now, I am not an attorney, but if you find yourself having more questions about the probate process, I do offer a probate support group inside of Facebook. Now, inside the group, you'll find other members asking questions and sharing their experiences. You're also welcome to ask questions or share your experience. And I also invite attorneys into the group to speak to the members to share their knowledge with the group. And if you catch the live, you can also ask the attorney questions. And remember, if you're looking for a North Carolina realtor to help you sell your inherited home, a home that has been included in probate, or maybe it's just a home that you own and you want to sell, then please contact me. You can call me, email me, or text me. I'll leave all my information below. So until the next video, be blessed and don't forget to subscribe.